And then
I didn't even...
it's just like... blub, 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 blub. Oh, shoot.
You're like, oh, darn.
Really? Because
I've got a parry for
you
champ.
were doing that for like 5 seconds.
This is going to go great. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. It's episode 99. I can't believe it. We're just one away from 100, but we're not at 100 yet. And because we're not there yet, I figured, wait, that's not even how I wanted to phrase that. Chad and Sarah are here from It's Bourbon Night.
Okay, let's go that,
So-
that
I don't want to
direction.
waste my 100th episode on these two. So to
That's
get
not
us
what I
there,
mean. That's not what I mean.
So to warm us up for the 100th,
I felt like I was
I
doing
thought I'd
a...
have Chad and Sarah over.
I felt like I was doing a grand tour, like, leading up to...
And then we can get the
Episode
real
100.
stars on for episode 100.
Yeah, Curtis and Swan, and there's a surprise guest that's going to be there too.
See?
I'm not even going to tell.
See?
Yeah, I'm not even going to tell you about it yet.
we
But
understand.
You guys are still. I'm trying to do the thing where it's like, hey, look at where we started, and here's where we are now, and you guys were part of where we started.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said before
true.
we started recording today, y'all were episode 7, and now it's episode 99, and
Yeah.
like that's just
And that was in
No,
your
our
living
first
room.
runner-up.
that was in my living room
It was
in
in your
Richmond.
living room, then it was in your kitchen.
Yes, and now it's
in your studio.
yes.
Yeah.
How
And-
exciting.
Yes, things have changed a lot since then.
A long, strange trip.
Including nuptials, which is not a word that
Yeah.
I love using, but this is the first time on air that I've been able to say, congratulations
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
to the Perkinses.
I suppose this is the first podcast that we've done as a married couple.
Correct.
Now tell me, what's changed since
Everyone
you
keeps
said
asking
I
that.
do?
Do you feel different?
Honestly, no.
Yeah,
and
that's
why
what
does
I was-
everyone ask me that instead of him?
Well, I
they
was
asked
asking
me.
you. I was asking you both,
No,
really.
they asked
but
me. Yeah, yeah. Do you feel any different?
No, I feel exactly the same.
my left hand feels a little heavier.
Yeah. No. I always just tell them I feel relieved. You know?
Take that how you will, Sarah.
No, I totally get it. Like, there's a lot of pressure put on you.
Yeah.
Up until then, people are like, are you excited? Are you nervous? Can you not wait? What are you thinking? How are you feeling? Do you think you're going to throw up? Do you still want to do it? And I'm like, can you back off me? I'm trying to be at the grocery store.
The worst thing too is like, there's always that one person who's like, now, what are you going to do when something goes wrong? You know, like they're trying to
Yeah.
incite that fear in you. You're like, who are you, first of all? And
Why would you do
why
this?
are you, yeah, why is this
That's
a
like
thing that you think
go-
you need to ask?
Right? That's like you go pick out a brand new puppy and someone's like, now, are you prepared for the final days of its life? And you're like, you would never do
This
that.
is day 0.
You would never say that to someone.
No.
So I don't know why people are like, well, if it doesn't last forever, what are you going to do? I'm like,
What is wrong with you?
I mean,
Why
that-
would you ask me that question?
That would be like if the minister put in like a divorce rate statistic. And we all know that
50% of
50%.
marriages end.
62.9%. I don't know what it is.
I think it is actually 50%.
Is it 50?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look to your left and look
That's
to
a
your
pretty
right.
crisp-
You got a 50-50 shot.
yeah. Well, my money's on you. So,
All right. Wait, is that good?
yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, I'm just going to say cheers to not being in the 50% and being part of the other 50%.
That's right.
Yeah.
guys.
Cheers
So-
to the other 50%.
Happy being married. And,
Thank-
yeah, clink. Oh, also, we're
Thank
doing
you.
Flying Blind. This is some episode.
Yeah. It is an episode.
Twists and turns at every corner.
Should I just go ahead and I feel like I should go ahead and tell you guys
I
what
think
it
you
is.
just should because it's really tasty.
It's my birth year turkey, which I didn't I hadn't shared with you guys up until now. Almost 2 months after my birthday.
No, it's really good.
Yeah, 86 proof.
And this is just after we had my birth year turkey.
That's right.
Thanks to you, Perry, on the live show, the 1980.
Go back and watch that as well.
That's a 101.8 year, and it's fantastic.
So I don't know if anyone told you, but my birthday's on Sunday. I was born in '89,
Yes,
so you
it
can
is.
just pull out that '89 turkey from wherever you've got it. I'm joking. I don't assume that you actually have one.
Do I have anything from 89? I don't think I do.
It's okay. It's a joke.
I have some VHS tapes from '89.
I've probably got some pre-fire that was distilled around that time.
I accept.
I'd have to kind of go through and reread the labels and everything, but we'll take care of it. I promise.
We didn't tell you about the pre-fire that we had at Bourbon and Beyond Sunday.
You know, I keep completely forgetting
what
about
now?
that because that weekend was such a blur.
I know. It
It
was
was
such a blur.
the day after our wedding. We went to Bourbon and Beyond because we were like, "This will be fun," and it was fun. But
You were
people
there. You
like,
saw us.
"You're crazy."
Yes.
Yeah, we moseyed on over to the Silver Dollar tent.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so we were
That
in
makes
there,
sense.
and we were like, "What can we get for like a decent price that we can either
But
never
also
get
like
anywhere
a
else?" Or,
Celebratory.
yeah. Yeah, a celebratory pour that we really can't get anywhere else or we haven't seen before. And it was called
Bourbon Royal.
Bourbon Royal.
I think you have the better pictures of it.
It was ugly.
I was
I've never
taking-
even heard of that.
I was
Never heard of
taking
it.
pictures just to get the size.
Just for the info.
Yeah, for the info. But it was bottled in Kentucky by Bourbon Royal Distilling Company, which we know doesn't exist. Bardstown, Nelson County, Kentucky. So we think Heaven Hill.
Heaven Hill.
Yeah. And it had the, I'm trying to see if you have one in your cabinet. You know, the neck tag that was on the Heaven Hill 90s?
Yes.
And probably the
Yeah, it had, like,
VIBs.
a collar.
It had that
Yeah.
exact same collar. And it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
basically the same
It
bottle.
was the same
So
bottle.
It's Heaven Hill.
We're pretty sure it's Heaven Hill.
The
Yeah.
label reminds me a lot of Bourbon Deluxe, too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks very
but
similar.
It was
Bourbon
quite
Royal.
tasty.
Oh, and it was a Japanese
Export.
export.
Well,
so
this is an Italian export.
See down there?
Oh.
Oh, look, Japanese characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like for me to translate them?
Yes, please do.
I will not.
It was 12-year age stated, 100 proof, if I'm remembering right, and it was delicious.
I believe it.
Yeah.
But let's
Pre-fire
talk
usually
more
is.
about what we're drinking right now.
Yeah, 'cause
Chad.
we're
let's
not-
live
Well, this
it-
is-
let's
this
live
is-
in the present and not in the past.
We're not
This
yet
is
to
so
what we've been
good
drinking.
that it reminded me of that.
I see.
This, I am very happy. Look, would I have preferred for it to have been 101 proof? Yeah, absolutely. But at 86.8 proof.
There you go.
It's that 0.8 of a point that really make it
No, it's
above
Sure
the rest.
does taste a whole lot better than the 81 nowadays. I mean, I know it's a little higher, but it's not that
Yes.
much higher.
No.
The color alone is
yeah.
a stark difference.
It's quite delicious.
Okay, now I need to save the rest of it for next year's birthday
Yeah.
because half the bottle's already gone. What happened?
Well, Perry pours happened.
Perry pours happened.
Yeah.
I won't deny it. No, I really am happy with this. I couldn't have asked for really a better birth year bottle. I don't think. And it's interesting because I was kind of wondering whether or not it was going to open up a lot in 2 months, and really it stayed pretty consistent, which doesn't always happen with dusty bottles. I mean, sometimes they kind of turn a little bit.
Take a turn.
But in this case, it stayed about the same. Yeah, anyway, this is a really good pour.
No, it's got that hint of the older turkey dusty funk, but it doesn't have the funk. It's just got the richness that they have without ooh, it's kind of funky.
Yeah.
Dusty
Yeah.
Funk sounds like a band name. So.
It's my band. So Chad and the Dusty Funks.
C-Perk and the Dusty Funks.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, man. Anyway.
Dusty Funk and the Old Turkeys.
Oh, there we go.
I like it.
Thought you
Well,
would like
anyway, that was kind of flying blind. It was mostly the flying part because it was turkey. Mm-hmm. We've had this conversation. Turkeys fly,
can't
right?
No.
Oh, I thought we had this conversation and turkeys can fly.
I think they can get a little bit of air, but they're not going anywhere.
No, wait, they can fly.
Just a little bit, just 2 flaps. Turkeys cannot fly.
This is literally the second time we've had this conversation.
See, but the problem is,
this
Perry, we're
podcast.
always drinking when we have this conversation.
You're right,
so
and I
can
have to do this again.
Well,
I
Never remember.
I think I was on the other side last time, and now I find myself on the opposite side.
You think that turkeys can fly?
I think I did then, and now I'm like, no, they can't fly.
No, they cannot fly.
They're like ostriches.
Yes.
Here we go.
correct.
while the turkey you cook, this is such a weird sentence. While the turkey you cook for Thanksgiving has never been airborne.
What a
Thank you for that weird qualifier.
Thanks for making me feel really awful about this turkey's life. You ate it, and before that, it couldn't even fly. You're a real jerk.
Plumped for my pleasure.
It never had the joy of flight.
Wild turkeys can fly.
What?
Yes. Yes.
Wild turkeys?
Wild turkeys can fly.
Well, what's the difference between a
I
wild...
Well,
So
the
do
wild turkeys,
Do they
live
clip
in the
their
wild.
wings?
but the ones that we eat for Thanksgiving are the ones that like they raise in captivity,
How-
much
Yeah.
like chickens
Yeah.
that you saw.
But people can go out and shoot turkeys too, like hunt them.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's considered a wild turkey.
Yes. Correct.
And then they can fly.
Yes.
Yes.
So my question is, what's the difference? Other than the fact that they're raised in captivity, do they clip their wings? Like,
It's an unwild turkey.
Maybe
It doesn't
they're
have
just
the, it
too
doesn't have the
fat.
spirit to fly.
They don't have that Kentucky
No
spirit.
one, no one. Yeah.
It's not in that tradition.
They're not a rare breed. They don't have the Kentucky spirit.
I'm gonna slap you.
They're just a wild turkey. You know, they're kept in their master's keep.
Oh, here's something. They have to fly, however, because they roost in trees at night.
What? I feel like this is the exact same reaction I had last time.
Actually, I
What?
don't know if this was the answer that I got the last time that we looked this
What is this
up.
source?
livescience.com.
Sounds
I'm going to go with
Okay.
live
pretty
science.
legit.
Okay, but dogs can't look up.
Okay.
That-
That's not true.
That's from Shaun of the Dead. It was on the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
they were
okay.
having that argument, but dogs can't look up. Yes, they can.
Anyway, flying blind.
Flying blind.
Hey, guys, what have you been drinking recently?
Well,
Hello.
what have we been drinking recently?
Well, I've been revisiting the Peerless Bourbon because we uncorked that not too long ago, and I've been coming back to it to see how it's been opening up, and I've been increasingly pleased with it.
I agree.
What do you think about it?
I think that, well, first and foremost, I was extremely surprised with how good it was when I first opened it. I thought that it was going to, because I wasn't really a big fan of the Peerless Rye. Mm-hmm. And when I had the Peerless Bourbon for the first time, I was like, this is really good, especially at 3 years old. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was just the single barrel that I had. Yours was, what, 1091?
1095.
Yours was 1095. Okay, mine's 1091. So not a whole big difference, but I am curious, just kind of barrel to barrel,
Yeah.
what the difference is. In this case, though, I'm very happy with it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good little bottle. That being said, I really didn't want to spend more than $25, which is why I asked you to
Get that
pick this up.
little 200
Yeah.
mil.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But that I think that's cool that they offer those though
Yeah,
for
me
people
too.
who do feel that way.
Totally. I feel
you
like
can
if
still
you're-
experience it.
If you're over $75, $80, I feel like you should put your product in a 200 and a 375 to give
And
people
or. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
option. Like, oh, you don't have $100 to spend on a 750? Well, here's a 200 milliliter
Right.
for 30.
Yeah, we still want your money. We don't want
25
to
or
scare you
whatever.
away. And then I think that's a great idea though, because if people are hesitant, then you purchase this smaller bottle for less money, and if you really love it, you'll come back and buy the big bottle. So I think it's a great way to get people to be introduced to your product, even if it is at maybe a steeper price point.
Now, that being said, I don't know if my reaction to it persuaded me to buy a full 750 of it. Because, I mean, it is still $100.
Yeah.
Right.
Would I rather spend $100 on a Peerless 3-year-old bourbon or on William LaRue Weller?
If you can
Well,
find
yeah,
it.
if you have the
Find
option.
it, right, but,
No
I
problem.
would rather save for it than just blow it on the Peerless bourbon.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in a time where it's really tough to like make that comparison and make that call because there are so many more premium options out there right now, and everyone's feeling is, why would I spend $100 on that when I could have a blank?
Yeah.
There are so many ways that you can fill in that blank. When I could have an Elijah Craig barrel proof, when I can have
Three rare breeds.
3 rare breeds,
Yeah.
when I can potentially get a William LaRue Weller, when I can potentially get a Pappy.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many releases out. I totally understand where you're coming from. Like, if I have $100 to spend and I have to choose wisely, like, how am I going to spend it? I totally agree. That's fair. I just think, like, maybe in the future you would want to pick up the Peerless because of the experience that you had with that small
Yeah.
bottle. Like, I think it just serves that audience that feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
You can still try it. Now you're introduced to the brand. You're talking about it right now, which is great from their perspective.
good
Like,
point.
yeah, you're doing word of mouth for them. And yet, at the same time, you got the benefit of not having to pay the full
Right.
$100 price. So,
Right.
I think it's great when they have the little 200s of a pricey brand, because then if you're looking for like a unique present for somebody, you can be like, oh, I'm going to get some Peerless. I'm going to get them a $100 bourbon without having to spend $100.
Right.
And then hopefully that person, it just really clicks with them, and then they become like a lifelong fan.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think there's just so many positives for having.
I think some people would argue against this, though, and say that by divvying it up into those small bottles for these people to have like a couple of drinks of, you're robbing of a limited release. You're robbing the people who truly love the brand or the bottle from getting a full bottle, because now there are less bottles available because they divided it up.
That's
so
a
imagine
tough argument.
what if they divided Pappy up into these teeny tiny little bottles,
More
and so
people
that
could get Pappy.
true, more people could get Pappy, but everyone gets a less amount of Pappy, if that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, but
I'm not saying I
don't
agree
know.
with that. I'm
It's-
just playing devil's advocate.
it's interesting.
I kind of view it as sharing the wealth around a little bit.
I agree
You know,
with that.
I wonder what it would do with the flippers. Like, if it could just piss off the flippers that they didn't get a full bottle, and everyone who got
No, they
wanted
would
to
still get
taste
the
it
small ones.
could buy it and taste it. I do think more people would open bottles if they were just 200 milliliters.
I agree. I think people would open it, taste it,
Yeah.
and decide for themselves whether it's worth it.
Because then they
to
wouldn't
pay
have
that secondary
"Ooh,
price."
But it's $1,800 on the secondary. I could sell it. You know, if it's just like, well, I could get $200 for this, or I could see what this whole Pappy thing's about and actually open it and drink it.
I haven't had a chance to ask you guys yet. We'll get back to what we've been drinking here in a second, but I haven't had a
just found the
chance
topic.
to. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to ask you about what your all's thoughts were on the Van Winkle panel at Bourbon and Beyond,
Yeah.
where they came out and said that they spent money on lawyers to shut down the secondary market.
Yeah.
I see it from both sides,
Totally.
but I think I lean a little bit more towards the Van Winkles in this case.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to listen to that panel because I think it's out there, right? It's out.
It
it's
is,
on-
yeah. Bourbon Pursuit put it
Yeah.
out last week.
Yeah, I just saw the headline.
I'd want to listen to the whole panel and hear people who have a lot more invested in it than I do to hear their points. But yeah, like you said, I can see it on both sides. It's good and it's bad, just like the secondary is good and it's bad. It's just
It's the nature of the beast.
Not cut and dry. Yeah. I
Yeah.
find it interesting, and I also find it interesting that they came public with that,
Right.
saying it was us.
Raised their hand and
Oh,
basically said, "We told."
It was us. Yeah, we're the whistleblower.
We got the whole class in trouble.
Not like they have a brand.
Didn't we have homework due today?
Not
Yes.
like they have a brand that is going to suffer from it. It's not like people are going to be like, people are saying, I'm never going to buy a bottle of Pappy again. But you have the rest of the world that's saying, good, maybe I can finally get one. So it's not like they are going to lose sales over this.
But
so
also-
if anyone could do it, it's them.
How many of those people that are saying I'm never going to buy it again have ever bought it in the first place?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe 50-50.
It sounds very hyperbolic in and of itself.
I mean, so many people boycott things today. It's like
That's true.
until it's inconvenient, and then they don't boycott it
Yeah,
anymore.
right.
I mean, I don't really have a standpoint on it because I have never been a participant in the secondary market. So, other than trading between friends in person, like I have never done anything like that. So I can't say, oh, good or no, that's bad because I don't know. I think that what they're trying to do is put a pin in flippers who are taking what they've worked so hard to make that they're charging X price for, and that these people are doing one small thing and then they're profiting off of it. And I totally understand that. And I think that, they're going to accomplish some of that by shutting down the secondary market, but people are still going to find a way to do it. I think that what they're really hurting is the communities that have been built around this of trading, of conversation, of people will say, I'll give you 3 bottles of this for that bottle of Pappy. And like, that's really not hurting anyone. And we could do that offline.
Yeah.
Like, or is it hurting someone and I'm just not aware of it? I don't know.
If they bought that bottle as trade fodder, it's pretty much the same thing as buying it to sell it to flip.
True, because then you're saying, oh, well, if it's worth $1,800, I want $1,800 worth of bottles for a trade.
Right.
Sure.
But at that point, I mean, like, it's kind of your freedom. It's your purchase. Like, you can kind of barter it however you want. It's worth what it's worth to you. And if someone says, hey, I want to offer you 8 bottles of this for that, and you say, okay, fair deal, then, like, I don't know. I feel like this is like elementary school stuff, like trading Pokemon cards. You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, no,
like,
absolutely.
That's 100% up to your discretion.
I'll trade you my
But-
banana for your snack pack.
So, exactly. I just don't know, though. I don't know that that's the group that they're after, people who are trading that way. I think that they're really aiming to target the flippers, and I think that they've done a good job of putting a dent in that, but it's never going to stop. People are always going to find a way.
Having listened to that actual panel, their argument seems to be more founded on trying to prevent counterfeiting.
Which is a
than
big
it is.
thing.
Yeah, with more so than the secondary sales. That being said, though, there is that argument to be made that, yeah, they aren't making any money when a bottle is sold on secondary. And I think, I can see it from both sides. Yes, they have already sold their product. Yes, they have made their profits. It is, the consumer's decision what they want to do with it after that. Mm-hmm. That's not what I'm getting at this point. What I'm getting at is the counterfeiting side of it. A, can be dangerous, and B, it just gives bourbon a bad name.
True.
And it gives the bourbon community a really bad name. And if we are all about transparency, as it seems like we are right now in the bourbon boom, I think that a lot of that also should fall to the consumer. Mm-hmm. And the consumer is not just limited to the primary market, going into a liquor store, buying online, whatever. And when I say buying online, I mean talking about websites that allow,
Like actual retailers.
yeah, exact retail. Thank you. There still needs to be that transparency, and so I think it just hurts the image of bourbon.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is sort of a transformed issue of the reason why the Bottle and Bond Act, right? Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's like that in this day and age. People have gotten so good at counterfeiting something, they could put whatever they want in there, and like, someone's got to stop it. And I think that like the correct decision was made before in order to do that. But people have just gotten, I guess, better at counterfeiting.
Sure, I mean, just like
just
they
more
did
resources
with money,
Right.
and they kept having to do changes
Yeah.
to currency because
So-
people just get better at counterfeiting.
So
But-
then the question becomes, does there need to be something in the bottling process that prevents counterfeiting? Is that possible?
Like, it has to have the hologram on it. If it
But
doesn't
you
have the
know what I
hologram,
mean?
it's not an authentic
I
Pappy
don't
Van
know.
Winkle.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which totally goes against its old charm,
Yeah.
authenticity type of stuff. But it's also like, I hear your point about bad for the bourbon community, but kind of on the same coin are craft distilleries that are putting out bad products that become someone's first experience of bourbon too. I mean, it's just it can be just as bad. Like there's other things out there that are bad for the community, and yes, counterfeiting is one, but there's other stuff that's out there that's bad too.
I don't disagree with you, but I think we have to look at it on the high profile scale. And so many more people know the name Pappy Van Winkle than they do, and I'm not saying they're bad, Wilderness Trail. I love Wilderness Trail. I mean, I'm not trying to
But you're
knock them
just
or their
using
products. I'm just using them as an
scale.
example for a craft distillery.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's kind of a trickle-down effect in this case that, if we're establishing this quality from the top, or this idea of transparency from the top, all the way down to the bottom, that should still be expected. I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily. I'm just kind of challenging it by
are you saying like
brand standards,
if someone
or brand recognition?
If someone finally bought their first bottle of Pappy and it turned out to be a counterfeit bottle, and because of the reputation of Pappy as being the best bourbon in the world, and they had it and it wasn't good, that would be more that would be more damaging to that person than if they bought a $60 bottle that unknowingly to them, because they didn't know to look, was a 6-month not very good tasting bourbon. I mean, which one would turn them off more to going to buy that $20 bottle of Wild Turkey 101 instead?
I feel like it's more like if you can't trust this product that's supposed to be the top of the top to be quality and exactly what you paid for, then how can you trust any of it? Who else is out there doing stuff like this? And you just don't know about it because you know about Pappy because it's the highest profile. And then do you just like lose faith in bourbon altogether as like a trustworthy thing?
I think that's where my trickle down argument
yeah.
kind of comes into play.
I don't know. I guess maybe I'm basing it more on like trying to put myself in that spot. If I didn't know
absolutely.
a whole lot about bourbon and I got a bottle of what unknowingly to me was counterfeit Pappy, and I was like, man, this sucks. Well, good. It is overhyped. Like everyone says, ooh, $22 for larceny? Hey, I like this. More than, like, I don't know. To me, it just seems like spending $50 or $60 on what people tell me is a good level for bourbon. That's how you pretty much know you're going to get something good, right? $50, $60, $70. And then it's like, no, I don't like this at all. Whereas, I guess you have to be a real bourbon aficionado to appreciate this Pappy stuff. I think it sucks, but man, I love this Wild Turkey 101. Man, I love this Evan Williams. I love this,
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm seeing it.
That, okay, I totally see your point now. That being said, though, I feel like I need more time to think on it.
I know, yeah, me too.
Because, I mean, it is kind of, it's such a dense subject to form an opinion on right now. And it's so much more than, did they do the right thing?
Well, you consider their alternatives. One, do nothing and continue to not profit off of the product that you make that is worth much more. Two, raise your prices to the secondary prices and just go ahead and cut that middleman out. If people want to pay $1,800 for it, fine, give me your $1,800. Yeah. I'll charge it to you. How does that damage the image of bourbon in the community? That for sure would cause the bourbon bubble to bust.
Yeah.
Like people would be like,
oh, for sure.
Or would it not? Because scotches can get away with it. So would people be like, okay, you know what? I will give you my money.
I'm going to go back to the comic book reference. There's comic books that never even reach the newsstand because as soon as, New Comic Book Day, people come in and they buy 10, 12, all the copies because they know something happened in that issue, and then they're turning around and selling them on eBay for 10, 12, 20 times the price. Now, if the comic book company said, let's just charge $10, $12, $20 what we are, or times what we are charging right now, then the exact same thing would happen that happened in the 90s, and the bubble would burst with comic books.
So, do they want to contribute by getting their money back that way? Do they want to risk bursting the bubble? No.
Right. No.
But do they want to continue to sit idly by, and by doing nothing, you're basically saying it's okay for you to flip my product? No, they don't want to do that either. So, I guess I just don't know.
I do think it is the more counterfeit thing. I think it's more an image.
Yeah.
It's an image. They want to protect their image.
Yeah. And I think as far as protecting their brand, and really at this point in time, protecting the image of bourbon, I think they made the right decision. I think that given the two options of doing nothing or trying to protect themselves and kind of maintain this ever-growing love for bourbon, this ever-growing community that, I mean, there's a new bourbon drinker every single day.
Yeah.
I think they made the right choice.
Right.
Sarah is making the please, sir, can I have some more hands?
Well, here's a question, though, real quick, and I know we're wrapping this up. If someone were to counterfeit it and they got sick, could they sue them? Could they sue Pappy?
Sue the Van Winkle family? I don't
Their
think
names
so.
on it, but I think that
if they forensically could prove this isn't our product.
Sure, but how much time and money and resources does it take to get to that point, right?
To prevent a lawsuit?
I'm not saying that it wouldn't happen. I'm saying that they also don't want that on their plate either.
Right.
So again, they're just trying to protect themselves.
But do you think counterfeiters are putting bad stuff in there, or are they just buying a $10 bottle of?
No,
High and
I
pouring
think
it in
that's
there?
what it is.
I think that's what it is.
That would be a
is that
lot
they
easier.
could be dumping Special Reserve into
They're
it.
not rectifiers. I just keep forgetting.
Yeah, it's not like they're actually putting like battery acid in spittoons, arsenic or anything like that in there.
Yeah.
I think they're just
Filling it with cheap whiskey.
the highest proof cheap whiskey, so the color's good, and it probably isn't even wheated. It's just
How dare they?
Monsters.
How
Yeah.
dare they?
it's Kentucky Tavern, or it's 10 High, or it's probably blended whiskey, and they're pouring it in there. They might put a little food coloring just to make it darker.
Yeah. So
If it's a little
Good
proof.
topic, Perry. Good
yeah,
question.
and I feel like there's a lot more to get into here, but now may not be the time for it. I want you guys to kind of,
I mean, not with an empty glass.
Well, there you go.
No, I agree with you. I don't I'm right now what we're doing I think is just like pondering. We're not stating opinions. We're not
We're speculating.
we're just speculating
Yeah.
and debating. Like none of what we just said is like this is my stance on this topic. And it's because I haven't thought about it enough. I
Yeah.
haven't like long-term impact thought
Well, you've
about
been
it.
a little busy.
Well, just a little.
Yeah, exactly.
So I agree though. I think that this will be an ongoing conversation
Yeah.
to like it's something to study like in the history of bourbon
Mm-hmm.
from this point. What did we see change? Because this has been some of the biggest news like ever.
Absolutely.
And it's a huge effect on the community. So it'll be interesting if you were looking at a line chart of the future of the next 10 years. I bet this will be a blip somewhere. It'll either be a spike or a plummet, but we don't know.
Yeah. So that we really got off on a tangent from what we've been
Would
drinking
you like to
recently.
know what I've been drinking?
What have you been drinking,
Yeah,
Sarah?
what have you been drinking, Sarah?
Shoot, I had something, but that was 20 minutes ago.
Counterfeit Pappy.
Oh, I've been the past couple nights that I've had a pour, it was E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof,
Nice.
which I forget how much I love it.
It's pretty good.
And it's not because I don't think a lot of E.H. Taylor. It's because there are so many other barrel proofs and stuff that
Yeah.
we're drinking all the time.
We're also doing some research.
Yeah, it's such an easy drinker for a barrel proof, and it's got a lot of flavor.
Yeah.
It's like if I was trying to step someone up into barrel proof, I think I would use that as
I would do it before a stag, and that's interesting because it's
Yeah.
the same distillery.
right, but it's just not as it doesn't have as much as a bite. It's not as
Correct.
harsh.
Yeah.
Now I love stag. Right, it just has a kick to it.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like E.H. Taylor the barrel proof is a little softer.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more mild, and I drink it, and I'm like, wow, is this really barrel proof?
I can
Because
have
it really
another.
does. I'll have
Yeah.
two. Thank you.
No, for sure.
What about you, Perry? What have you been drinking?
So, a couple of things. The other day, my dad picked this up for me. I thought it was very nice of him. But there was
Papa Ritter.
Papa Ritter did me a solid.
Is that 17?
Papa,
Yeah.
Papa
Oh.
Ritter.
So yeah, hold off on thoughts for a second because
I don't think you got my Lady Gaga paparazzi to Papa Ritter thing. It kind of got lost in the conversation, but that's okay. I'll let it
Oh,
go.
I got it.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
heard it. I just chose to
We'll
ignore
boost it in post.
Okay, thanks.
This is actually a pick of Voyage 17 that Trader Joe's did.
What?
Cool.
Yeah, it's good.
Trader Joe's. What are you doing?
It's surprisingly good. I'll pour some for you guys here in a
Thank
little bit.
you.
You guys also gave me a late birthday present,
Yes.
which was
I even forgot about that. I go, oh yeah, we did.
We did?
the Jim Beam Distiller Series 7-year-old 90 proof.
Yeah. Now, did you do any research on that? Because I didn't.
I didn't either. End of
Chad
sentence.
said, I looked at it. I liked it. I picked it for you.
Yeah.
Have you not had this yet?
I have not cracked open mine.
Okay, well, I
Yeah.
cracked open mine the other day because
Good, I'm glad.
This
I
is
mean,
what happens. Is
I have
that-
more now, so I'm definitely going to.
Well,
Well, we'll try it.
But it's something that
Beforehand.
I know that it's old because I never remember seeing that when I started buying bourbon.
Sure. Yeah.
So I know that it's at least old enough. It's a dusty. It's not offered anymore. Yeah.
We'll talk about it in a little bit too. I want you
Sure.
guys to definitely try that. But then the other thing too that you guys gave me was the Booker's Wedding Bar.
And don't see it as a regifting because it's not.
No,
but
no.
I wanted
it's just you
to,
getting your cut, Perry.
yeah, your distiller's
I
cut.
absolutely did not feel. Hey, there we go. I absolutely did not feel that way.
No, it's like
I was-
it's we considered it an engagement bottle. It was one of the two bottles that we took to the wedding to have just at the table, not at the bar. So I thought that
It's for sharing.
in itself made it
Close
special,
friends.
and we want to share it. And I've got the same amount. I need to get this one.
Yeah. But thank you guys for this as well.
Yeah.
I was editing the other night and had just a sip of it, and it's real good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's real nice.
It's
Yeah.
pretty tasty.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
we originally had something of a topic that we were going to discuss, but then I
like how
realized,
they I like how they organically just come out.
yeah. But so I feel like we had a good little discussion, and now we should drink bourbon,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I have kind of amassed a few samples
Yeah.
from a couple of distilleries. And I figured we'd do kind of a review-heavy episode, which is something we haven't done in a while, if that's okay with you guys.
I like trying new things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is really exciting, and I've had tastes of 2 of these 3 so far. As you can see, one of them is, well, fairly gone at this point. But I got so excited about it that I was like, I gotta try it.
Yeah.
So our first review of the episode is going to be, I'm so excited for this one, y'all. The Heaven Hill 7-year bottled and bond.
Yeah.
What?
By the way,
My beloved Heaven Hill is back.
it has returned.
It's a year older and it's more expensive.
Yes, but we'll talk about all that as we kind of get into the review. I also want to say up top, all of these samples that were provided to me for free by Heaven Hill and Four Roses. So I want to say thank you all so much for sending those on. It really does kind of help us out a little bit in reviewing stuff.
absolutely.
Stuff gets expensive.
I feel like we need one of those quick little disclaimer voiceovers that they speed up at the end, like opinions not affected by the.
plus tax title and license.
Member FDIC.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So anyway, everybody knows, well, most people know that earlier this year, the Heaven Hill 6-year bottled and bond, which was originally only available in Kentucky, was discontinued. And there were always kind of those rumblings that they were going to rebrand it and make it a year older and make it a national bottling. And that's basically what happened.
Yeah. I remember hearing 2 years. I remember hearing, they're going to come back out with an 8-year.
I remember hearing that.
I also
as
thought
well.
it was going to be an 8-year. Not that I mind. I mean, 7,
No,
8, but it's both, good
Yeah.
good spot.
Yeah. I have spent some time with it, as I said, and I finally wanted to, get into the actual review of it. What do you guys think about the nose?
I think the nose is great.
Yeah.
It seems to, and I should have pulled some of the 6-year down so we could,
Yeah. Have you side by sided it yet?
I've not done that yet. No.
Interesting. I think it's got a little bit of like a nutty sweetness going on.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
The alcohol is present, but it's not overpowering.
It is stout
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is something that you have to think about, I would say. Mm-hmm. There's a rosy sweetness on the nose.
That's what I was
too.
thinking. Yeah.
And
It's like a little floral.
yeah. It seems to be very sweet heavy on the nose, whereas I kind of remember the 6-year being, I don't want to compare it too much. I mean, I think it's kind of inherent that it's going to happen.
Right.
But I want to try to approach this as its own product instead of,
Yeah.
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 how does it stack up, or, is it really worth the extra money and the extra year? But
No, I think it's got a nice kind of woody, nutty, bordering on cherry type of brown sugar nose going on. It's
I
good.
would agree with that.
I like it a lot.
I get the brown sugar on the top part of the nose. It's one of those top notes.
Yeah. I agree with what you said, Chad. I'm not going to lie. I already tasted it before we started talking
Oh yeah,
about
I'm
it.
almost done.
I think it is
Do you need a little more
delicious.
I might to
Okay.
do a review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I'm like glad that it's back. People are gonna be like, "Well, why would I pay $40 for it when it used to be $12?" Well, you're lucky that it was $12 for such a long time.
So,
Consider this the tax.
yeah. Do you know how much Heaven Hill pays in taxes every week?
Every week.
Millions.
Every week. $1.5 million.
A week.
Every single week.
Because they have barrels that are becoming a year old every week,
Uh-huh.
and it's taxed every year. A barrel every year
oh
it
my
ages.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So it's no wonder that they do things like hike up their prices sometimes.
I don't consider though I don't consider a price increase from $12 to $40 for a 6 to 7 year old delicious quality bottled and bond product a hike.
Yeah.
I consider that,
A jump?
well, it is a jump, correct.
A journey.
I think there was a point when it was priced appropriately at $12. I think over time, that price probably should have gone up a little bit at a time over a long period of time. So say from the early 2000s until now, that price should probably have increased $1 or $2 every year until it got to where it is now, which is, I feel like, a fair price for what it is. I would probably, I would say between $30 and $40 is fair.
Yeah, I think if it stayed at a 6-year, it maybe should have capped at around
Like 30.
25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But then we have to consider Henry McKenna Bottle and Bond.
I know, 10-year. Yeah. Yeah.
So-
10-year, $30.
Also now at $40.
$40. Which
But can you find it?
every now and then, I mean, I feel like it's
Every now
starting to
and then.
creep back up a little bit, but not nearly like it used to be. But that being said, I feel like I can justify the price increase on it,
On Henry McKenna?
on Henry McKenna. I feel like 40 to 45 is really quite reasonable for a 10-year-old bottle and bond bourbon.
Like we were talking about before, in today's day and age, when there's so many limited releases at $100 a bottle, I would gladly pay $40 a bottle for Henry McKenna.
Yep.
I would also gladly pay $40 for a bottle of this. I think it's great. It's probably a little bit more than I would want to spend. I would probably, again, like I said, only want to spend a maximum of like $35. But it's not like I want to spend more money. I'm just saying, compared to
That's
other
true.
things of the same price or higher price, this is a great product, and
Yeah.
I understand why it's priced the way it is now.
Yeah.
I could cry about it all day, but no one's crying about how Rare Breed is $45.
Yeah, it's just it's always tough. It's tough because
No one
you-
likes change.
You incrementally have these adjustments. You have Bookers go from 50 to 70 or 75. Needed to happen, but it's tough. You have this. You have what's happening in McKenna. And then, this kind of, to me, reminds me of what Buffalo Trace is doing with Weller. They can't turn it up as much as they want, so that's why they come out with the CYPB. That's why they come out with the full proof, those type of things. So they can sell it. It's a new product, so we can set the price instead of increasing it, by $20 like they wished they could because of its popularity. So this is the same thing. They couldn't take the 6-year BIB and turn it up to $40, so they had to discontinue it, put another year in it, put it in a different label, and say this is a new product at $40. So I understand it.
Yeah, here's where that kind of comes into play for me too. I feel like this is a more finely crafted product than the 6-year was. This tastes refined to me. And like they were selecting from a smaller number of barrels for the batches. Not to say that the 6-year didn't have a lot of depth and wasn't great, because it absolutely was, but there's just something extra with this that really seems like they wanted to put that extra effort into it.
I might be the outlier in this one, guys.
You don't like it?
I like it.
But
you
you
don't
think
see
you
the
I like
value
it a
in it.
lot. It's reminding me a lot of the 6-year. And it does taste more refined, like you said, but it tastes more like, I don't know. It has a bite to it, which I enjoy, and that's what I liked about the 6-year. It's got some chutzpah in it, but it doesn't feel like as refined as I think maybe it might be to you guys, for the price especially. I for the same price, a Henry McKenna 10-year I think is a lot more. The edges are softened and rounded off than this guy. This to me tastes more like a $25 to $30 bottle.
I think someone would disagree with you about a Henry McKenna, because some people would say I've been burned by a bottle of Henry McKenna single barrel, and while I've had some really great ones and I do like it when I find one that I like,
Yeah.
I'd rather have this, which is dependably the same
Yeah.
taste that I enjoy.
No, and
I was over here motioning to Perry, like, where is that bottle? Let's blind Chad with it right now.
no, I'm in that camp a lot too because I prefer the E.H. Taylor small batch over the single barrel because I've been burned on an E.H. Taylor single barrel. So I completely get that, and I'm in that camp a lot of times too. And we finally got a bad bottle of McKenna. So yeah, it is tough. What I'm just saying is, I don't know. For memory, there isn't as much of a difference that I can remember in it.
For me, I don't.
But I
think-
like it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I
you like it. I'm not necessarily saying I think it's so much more refined, like it's miles different. I think it's very clearly a step up from what it was. I don't think it is a vast step, but I think that you can tell where they put, like Perry said, you can tell where they put a little extra. You know, it's got that extra year, maybe had a little more. They're treating it a little bit more like the status that it is now versus that $12 ugly bottle that sat on the bottom shelf for forever.
Yeah.
Right? It's getting a little bit more attention and care, and I think that comes through. But
Sorry.
yeah.
A little bit off topic, but not totally. They changed the label for the Heaven Hill 80 proof.
What did they change it to?
It says Quality House on it now.
The green? Or what's
No,
the,
no,
the,
the white label.
White label.
It says Heaven Hill Quality House Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
That's weird.
I had never noticed it before, and I saw it at Liquor Barn today. And I had to do like a double take on it. 'Cause I was like, what
What
does
is
this
this?
mean?
Some
It's the same product.
Yeah. Some
Maybe-
people were getting it confused
Yeah,
between
with the 100 proof.
Yeah.
But now that doesn't exist anymore. So
Right.
why are they getting
But maybe because
confused?
people are looking for it, they're seeing that white label Heaven Hill,
okay,
buying it,
fair.
and then being like, wow, these look too similar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could hear some old crotchety man being like, well, I picked this one up because it was white label Heaven Hill, and that's what I was told to get. This isn't what this isn't what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think a quality distillery like Heaven Hill putting out a 7-year bottled and bond product between $30 and $40 is very reasonable
Yeah.
and fair. Now, me 4 years ago would have been really upset because this would have been before a lot of things got price hiked up.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of things were more available. A lot of things were a couple dollars cheaper. It's just the way it is, you know? I'm not going to not drink Heaven Hill bottled and bond now because it's $40 and like whine about it. Like, I still love Booker's and they
Well, I'm
raise the
gonna
price.
get a bottle. Yeah.
You know, it just is what it is.
Well, I just wonder if it's going to keep its same cult status because it used to be, you know, it's the hidden gem.
Right.
It's the diamond in the rough. It's this value that you just can't believe you're getting such a great tasting bourbon for $12, even when it went up to like 15 or places started carrying it for even more. Now for $40 in a 7-year, and from what I'm tasting, it's like I think now it's middle of the pack. It's can be overlooked. I mean, you can be I'm gonna reach for rare breed instead. I'm gonna reach for, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Chad. But I think it lost that the moment that people started talking about it. It wasn't a hidden
Yeah.
gem anymore because everyone started buying it up, and then they realized what they had. Right? If you realize you've got something that's gold, why would you just leave it and let people then you're going to take advantage of that, right? And so that's what they've done. And because all of this has happened, it's no longer a hidden gem, and it won't be a cult classic anymore.
Well,
Like, that's just the way is.
it never reached the Henry McKenna status to where before it got discontinued, I would never walk into a store and it not be on the shelf. Only after it got discontinued did people start hoarding it. So it never reached that, this is a really awesome bourbon, you should get it, like McKenna is now because it won the award. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the only reason why it left shelves is because of it being discontinued.
True, but I think the reason that it flew off the shelves when everyone heard that it was discontinued was because of its reputation. And I think it's sort of like the hidden gem status is just that because it's hidden. But as soon as we start saying hidden gem and it starts gaining a reputation, it lost that. And then, like I said, they realized what they...
It's a catch-22.
It's a catch-22. It's like the furniture store doing the going out of business sale. Everyone goes there because it's going out of business. But they wouldn't go... I mean, you know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. It didn't reach cult status. It reached cult status because it was discontinued, but it wasn't discontinued until it reached cult status.
But we always loved it.
Yeah, we talked about it for years.
So does that make us hipsters?
Yes.
Because we liked it before it was cool?
Yes.
Well, we won't go through and do like the full review system that we normally do, just because we have so many to get through. Our total scores are always out of 20. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give this a 16 out of 20. This to me, I think, is a very solid product. It's definitely not the best on the market, but I think that it has a lot going for it that can be accessible to maybe not the common bourbon drinker. I kind of hate that phrase, but
Sounds like you peasants.
yeah, right? The plebes.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a really it seems to kind of fill a hole in the market that really wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And that's a mid-tier bottle and bond product. Yeah, we can talk about E.H. Taylor small batch, but that is so much harder to find now.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of filled that, where E.H. Taylor, unfortunately, lost that status. So 16 out of 20 for me.
Well, I mean, they could have done what they did with Old Fitzgerald and put it in a $50 bottle itself before it even had liquid in it, and then charged even more for it.
True.
I'm glad they didn't do that
Mm-hmm.
because Old Fitz 4-year BIB was amazing.
I feel like I personally feel like from a business standpoint, they made the right move. They realized what they had.
I don't
They
disagree.
didn't exploit it.
Yeah.
They still made it accessible and attainable.
I mean, we'll see. It's not out
Right.
in our area yet.
Somewhat attainable and accessible, like from a price standpoint. Yeah, and when they could have exploited it because of the reputation that it did have, everyone would have fussed if they had made it $75 in a really fancy bottle. But, I think they hit a good spot. So
what would you give it out of 20?
I'm going to go with Perry. I'm going to go with 16 just because I don't like to do math. And I don't want to think about all the different, if I give it a 4.5 here and a 3.75 there, but for value, I don't know.
See, I think if we were doing the 4-tier system, the lowest for me would be the value now, just because I don't taste an extreme difference. So I would think I would give it probably around a 14 and a half out of 20.
I kind of expected that. But this is still a recommend for me. I still think that people are going to try this and find a lot of value in it. And maybe part of it is because I did just miss Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond.
Yeah.
I really did miss it.
And maybe it's because I have several bottles tucked away that I just haven't missed it yet.
Just like, I'm going to go home and drink my $12 Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how about something that is on the total end of the spectrum, but also a Heaven Hill product? This is the Parker's Heritage Collection.
Yeah.
Heavy Char Rye Whiskey.
I am so excited about this.
Once again, this was provided to us free of charge in a sample bottle from Heaven Hill. So thank you all again.
105 proof?
105 proof.
Yeah.
Yes. This is in number 5 char.
Yeah,
Barrels.
I was at the
Turn it up to
cooperage
11.
where these barrels were made and
Oh,
charged.
that's right. You were talking about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They said around a minute to just a little bit past a minute.
Holy smokes. I mean, you got to understand, though, I'm just excited to see any rye product come out from Heaven Hill because of how much I adore Pikesville.
Yeah. And I think we have to talk about Pikesville when we talk about this too. And we'll get more into it after we try it. But
Sure. As we should.
that nose is
It's so
stupid.
good.
It's berries. It's berries on the nose.
berries and honeysuckle.
Yeah.
And
Sweet marmalade.
It does. It
effervescent.
really does. Yeah.
That's effervescent. It'll clear right up.
It'll get up in there.
it reminds me of like the middle of spring where things are like fully in bloom, and it just is. It doesn't really have a lot of rye characteristic to it, I would say, on the nose. It smells a little
No.
bit more like a bourbon than it does a rye.
I agree with you on that.
And I can't even really pull out, Chad's having a moment, I can't even really pull out rye notes from it. It's very strange.
Oh man, when can I talk about this? You guys hurry up.
Talk about the palate, Chad, while we try it.
There used to be a place next to where I worked that they would make, what were they called? like cranberry orange muffins, and they had like a caramelized brown sugar on the top of it, and it had that like delicious breadiness, but it wasn't like, it's a muffin. It's sweet, and it's got cranberry, which has a little bite, and it's got the orange, and it's got like just like a light baked deliciousness. And I get that on this nose, which, like you said, is strange for a rye.
Man.
But wait until you taste it.
I'm getting winter mint.
I get it towards the end of the palate.
It's a long finish for sure. You know what it kind of reminds me of, Sarah, is the Cornerstone rye. I mean, they're both ryes, but sort of like it's a elevated rye. It's
Interesting observation,
Yeah.
Chad. They are both ryes.
In the same price point, too, ish.
That's interesting, though.
Yeah.
Because now, that creates a this or that kind of.
So this is...
That just gave me an idea for an episode. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This or that?
I know. I've had that idea.
Damn, Chad.
Yeah.
This is $150. Cornerstone's $175.
Yeah.
I haven't officially reviewed Cornerstone yet, but the first time I tried it, it did not hit the mark with me on the first sip. It took a few sips to really kind of get me acclimated to it.
It's complex. If I remember our reaction, is that the one where we were
We said
doing
a roller
the roller
coaster, I
coaster?
think.
Like it was up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
This one seems to just hit you with a really good note.
It's a punch.
and maintain. It's a note with sustain.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Hear that sustain?
So it's not like it's one note, but it's more consistent across. Whereas I feel like the Cornerstone was more ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys. But wow, yeah.
I like it. I'll tell you that.
You know those?
Get the rye on the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. You know those? They're like brown sugar crumbles that people put on top of pies or cheesecakes.
That's
sometimes.
what I was thinking on the top of the muffin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's. Whoa. I get a lot of that on the palate.
It's yummy.
I think it's. I don't know if it's worth $150.
Yeah, because in my mind I'm like this or Pikesville.
Right.
It's a tough call for me.
Do we need to side by side it?
I mean,
Pikesville doesn't give you this punch.
no, it doesn't. It's got a lot more warmth
Yes.
than Pikesville does.
Yes.
But boy,
and
do
Pikesville's a
I
higher proof.
do I love Pikesville though.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like Pikesville at $50 or
Right.
this at $150.
I think it's what you're in the mood for, because Pikesville is more of a bourbon flavor, and this does have more of a rye flavor.
This is a cold winter's night
Yes.
rye.
Yes.
Pikesville is an anytime rye.
Yes. Exactly.
It's
there
like
you go.
this is your casual Friday rye, or Pikesville is your casual Friday rye, and this is your black tie rye.
Your black tie rye.
Black tie rye.
Black tie rye?
So we are side by siding with a little bit of Pikesville rye, which again is 115 proof, so 10 points higher, and significantly cheaper.
Yeah, not nearly the nose on the Pikesville.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's much cornier.
I mean,
And you get more of the alcohol coming
do they
through.
release the mash bill on the Parkers? I don't feel like they.
I mean, I met. Hold on.
You had to ask, didn't you?
Well, I got to know too, and you know who else needs to know? The listeners. So we're doing them a service.
I mean, I feel like we've looked up Pikesville before, and it's like 51% rye.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably the same mash bill, right? I mean,
I don't think.
I can't imagine that they would be running two different mash bills.
But Parker's Heritage is a once a year special thing. I feel like it's a
Maybe.
limited number of bottles. I feel like they go through the effort. I would feel like this sure doesn't smell and taste like the same mash bill.
No. Same mash bill.
It
What?
is?
It is the same mash bill.
I cannot believe that it's the same mash bill.
I
I mean, that's just
but that just goes to show you what.
well, and also different char levels in the barrel.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That just goes to show you
The
how many
maturation.
factors can affect
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah.
The maturation, the char level,
They're only
where they stored it.
They're only 5 proof points apart. They're the exact same mash bill, but they taste completely different.
And how old is Pikesville? Do we know?
It's around 6 years.
This is 8 years. So you're kind of, I wouldn't say hyper aging, but you're allowing more flavors to
Sure.
seep in and
Especially-
out of the
There's
whiskey.
a vast flavor difference
Especially
between these two.
in such a charred barrel.
8 years in that char.
Yeah.
Whew, no wonder it got like this. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't feel like extra char heavy. It just has so much character. All right, so you know how I was like, but I would rather have Pikesville at $50. Blah. I lied.
I mean, you could have 2 bottles of Pikesville.
I could have 3 bottles of Pikesville for $150
Yes,
for
you
one
could.
of these bottles.
Yes, you could.
But
That's really tough, though.
But if you're just going solely on its merits, which is, I think, the quality of it, I think that the Parker's is leaps and bounds ahead.
Which is not something I ever thought I would say about Pikesville. It's like
I know.
something is leaps and bounds ahead of Pikesville? What?
Well, I mean, if anything, it's going to be an LE, which this is. It's a
Right.
limited edition.
Oh, for sure.
It's a once-a-year release. It's a Parker's Heritage. I mean, come on.
I'm just saying, like, same mash bill, close in age. Yes, the treatment is different, but like, if the question is why would I buy that when I could have Pikesville, like, the answer is it is miles better.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's the difference.
Of already a good product.
Would you rather have Weller 107 or William LaRue Weller?
Right.
There's a big price difference.
Weller 107 is great,
It's a high proof. It's good. You love it.
but
Would
it's
you-
no William
would-
LaRue Weller.
Would you like to have 3 bottles of that?
No, I want William LaRue Weller.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Quality
it's just,
over quantity.
Fair argument.
Yeah.
No, this is excellent.
I
This
think
is
so too.
really good.
I would give it a 17.5 out of 20.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I think the only place that it would dip for
Value?
me.
What's a 20 out of 20? Like, obviously, I know that that's a perfect score, but like, I'm asking on the.
It would have to be this if it cost $10.
No, what was your.
But then we'd be going, you're stupid.
Yeah, you're stupid.
What would be your 20 out of 20? It's hard because the value, right?
Yes.
I think it might be William LaRue Weller, though.
Like
if
the
you can
best
get
year,
it at retail,
if you could blind all the years of WLW and find the one that you like the best, that would probably be the 20
I mean,
out of 20.
it's either that or Stag, right?
right? That's kind of how I feel
mean-
like if you can get it for the price that it's
Yeah.
supposed to be sold at.
But it still has to be. See, that's the problem. It's also subjective.
I mean, like, I would say Booker's Rye was one of probably in the top 3 things I've ever tried.
Absolutely.
But it cost $300 a bottle.
So it wouldn't do so great on the value.
Value, right? So it's not
So
going to
that
be a
would probably
20 out of
keep
20.
It, yeah. Ugh, a 20 out of 20 is tough.
I don't-
But I guess you have to have it, or otherwise
How do you measure?
the system is flawed. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, originally I was going to be like, oh, I'm going to give this an 18 because it's so excellent. But you're right, the value. Like, it's better than Pikesville, but how much better? $100 better? I don't know.
I got it. The best pick of something, and I'm using air quotes, pedestrian. The best pick of Knob Creek that you personally have ever had
Is the
that
20.
might be a 20 out of 20 because it would be value. It wouldn't be any more expensive. Usually should be no more expensive than a regular Knob Creek single barrel.
And then it's also...
And it has those flavors that you personally love. And that could be a 20 out of 20.
Interesting. I think we should revisit this thought in the future.
I think we should too.
Also,
Let's do it after episode 100.
Is
So
anyone, I don't know if it's going back and forth, but is anyone getting grape on the Pikesville?
I've been finding grapes somewhere in there, and I'm not sure where, but it's like artificial grape.
Yes.
It's
Grape
definitely-
flavoring.
Yeah. You know those, do you ever remember the Scooby gummy snacks?
Oh, I just broke Sarah's heart.
Oh, no.
No, it's not the grape. It's that I think it tastes gross compared to this. It's the alcohol. You get so
We did
much
you a
more of
disservice.
the alcohol. I'm like, why did you do this
They
to
say
me?
don't meet your heroes. They also say don't side by side
Don't
your
meet
favorite
your heroes.
bourbon or rye with an LE bourbon or rye.
It's really not fair. Like, I've never felt this disappointed in Pikesville before. Except for this side by side.
But
So
the
sad.
Parkers.
But the Parkers is
Parker's
so
is so good.
So here's
17.5. Oh, no, I don't want to match you. 17.25.
17.75. I don't know.
I'm gonna bump it up to an 18.
There you go.
I can't. The only thing really is that $150 is a lot.
True.
But here's the thing: Parker's Heritage has something special behind it, which is part of it goes to charity.
Oh yeah.
So
ALS,
it goes
right?
to ALS research. So I cannot entirely fault. Look, it's a great product. I think it tastes phenomenal. I mean, at its core,
The best Parkers I've ever had. I haven't had a whole lot of Parkers.
I haven't either.
Correct.
I've
but
had 3 versions of Parkers, to be
In
honest.
this case, though, this is a freaking great product.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna bump it up to a 17.75 because I feel like I would take off normally 3 points for value, but because of what you just
Yeah,
reminded
that-
us of, I would only take off 2 points because it is better. And then I feel like everything is excellent.
Everything is awesome.
I feel like there's something on the nose that's a little meh for me. Just the tiniest hint, which is why the 0.25 off for that. It's almost got a licoricey undertone, which we all know is the downfall of everything for me.
Put it in a Norlin.
So yeah,
So everybody said,
Why don't you just put it in a Norlin?
17.75 for me,
Darling.
18 for Perry.
Yeah, you ever had an Norlin? I don't know where this guy came
What's
from.
this? Who is this guy?
I don't know where this guy
Oh,
came
welcome
from.
to the podcast, Cowboy Bob.
A little missy.
This is the same guy who said, "Are you sure you want to have a pour of Wild Turkey 101?"
Well,
Or
darling,
Rearbury.
you ever had an Norlin? He's also a heavy breather. He's a little.
Could you back off of the mic there, Cowboy Bob?
You ever had an Norlin?
Snort.
Good. I hadn't had one of those yet of the podcast.
That's the whiskey. Anyway, what's your score on the Parker's Rye?
Well, I said 17.75.
Oh, okay. I thought that was kind of joking.
I thought it was a joke too.
No,
Oh well, oops.
it's okay. We can have the same odd.
Well, I
Egg on
rationalized
Murphy's.
mine and you didn't. So
I rationalize it by drinking it and feeling feelings in my heart.
cool.
just have so many emotions. You don't even go here.
Go here.
Anyway,
That was delightful. Thank you for sharing that
You
with
are
us.
so welcome.
Yes.
I have one more to share with you guys.
The top bill.
I hope so.
Yeah, we'll
Maybe.
see.
Yeah, it could.
Maybe it's like the Zach Brown band. Is that who was at Bourbon to Beyond? Going after ZZ Top. Perry, you were there.
Who decided
They were a cover
We were
band.
like, why are they doing so many covers?
They were a cover band.
But my
Yeah, the third song was Devil Went Down to Georgia.
yeah, and then
they
2
played
songs later was another cover.
Sabotage. Then they played
There was another cover too.
Wagon Wheel.
Yeah.
They played Wagon Wheel.
Yeah,
I think
they played
so.
Wagon Wheel. They played so many covers. The ones that we didn't recognize, I imagine, were theirs.
And just to wait until get to the end so that they could play Chicken Fried so everyone wouldn't leave. But to be fair, my perspective my perspective to
wanna make
Chad
you sad.
was the headliner on a Sunday night should go earlier because
Yeah.
everyone has to get back to work on Monday, so they're not trying to be there until 11 o'clock
Plus-
trying to finish out the headliner.
ZZ Top are old men, and they're probably like, "No, we're not going on last."
We're going to be in bed by 9:30.
They were so good.
They were so
live.
That was one of
Good.
my favorite performances that I've
Man,
ever seen.
They are so polished.
So I told my dad the day after about it. I was like, oh my gosh, ZZ Top were amazing. And he was like, well, I know I've seen them like 3 or 4 times. And I was like, well, you know.
Why didn't you tell me about this
Yeah,
sooner?
right? Yeah. Come on, Papa Ritter. Now, but
You're holding out on us.
they have clearly not missed a step.
No,
I mean-
50 years of being a band.
That's insane. Kudos to them. Cheers
Yeah,
to that.
well done.
I don't think I could do anything for 50 years.
later.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something? Anyway, let's move on to this final sample. What
I
if
hear,
this
I
is
hear,
the,
I hear it's really good this year.
what if this is the 20 out of 20?
I mean, it's
Don't-
expensive.
Don't set it up like that. You're
It's
setting
like
it up to
130,
fail.
isn't it?
This is the 2019 Four Roses limited edition small batch. I'm freaking out, y'all.
This is the most consistent LE
Yes.
that I've ever had, starting in 2015.
Yeah. We'll get into some of the stats of it after I pass it around, and it's.
What if I just chugged it and chugged it all?
would be so-
I'm not gonna do that.
This one's called "This is Chad Bruin's This Is My Bourbon Podcast."
Yeah.
Oh, that is a beautiful color.
Thank you.
You're...
I didn't make it though. Have you ever had it in New Orleans?
Chad, that's so creepy.
No.
Stop with the breathing. We don't like the breathing.
This is on par with never pull fleshy piercings.
But
Don't do that thing with your mouth. Stop.
have you ever had it in New Orleans? That's my guy. That's all he says. It's one of my new characters. He's have you ever had it in New Orleans guy? He's road weary. He's been around for a while.
He has dry mouth.
He's driving.
That's because he's been on the road for a while.
He needs to exercise more, obviously.
He's played by John Goodman, I think.
Yeah. Well, he's in shape now. He lost a lot of weight. He's in good shape.
Okay, so John Goodman in
In
the
Roseanne
Big
era.
Lebowski
Okay.
or
I was gonna say
Raising Arizona era.
Oh, brother, where art thou?
yes.
Oh yeah, he was in
Big
that
Dan.
movie.
Big Dan.
What are you getting at, Big Dan? I don't get it, Big Dan. Son, you're a man of few words, but when you it's something when you speak it right to the point. I like it.
Anyhow, Four Roses Small Batch LE from 2019. Oh yeah, let's talk about the stats behind this.
Oh man.
This is a blend of 4 different bourbons. I guess we'll start from the top. 21-year-old OBSV, 15-year-old OESK, a 15-year-old OESV, and also an OESV at 11 years. And it's at barrel strength, 112.6 proof.
I get a little butterscotch.
I get a little bit of country.
I get a little bit of rock and roll. Man, no, yes, butterscotch pie.
Yeah.
Sweet butterscotch.
I mean, it could easily go caramel, but I get that little extra
It's that. It's
butter.
it's the meringue on
Yeah,
a butterscotch
butterscotch
pie.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so light and fluffy. This nose is.
You know
5
how
out of
like
5.
when meringue sits for
Wow.
a little bit, it gets those little like beads of sugary vanilla. Yeah, that.
And it's cooling in a windowsill.
Someone get this man some pie
Oh
stat.
my god!
There's even a little bit. It smells really like a country home.
Oh, it does.
It really does.
There is a ham cooking in the vicinity
Yes.
of this pie.
And some green beans on the stove.
Somewhere nearby, a
cakes
ham
on the
baked.
griddle. Life ain't nothing but a fun of a riddle.
Perry, did you know that this is just the Chad does impressions and songs? This is the Chad.
Wait, no,
That's
I got
always what happens
Show.
when he's on the show. So,
it. Life ain't nothing but a funny ritter.
oh, I like what you did there.
See?
I hope that the palate lives up to what the nose
I hope.
is giving me.
No, that's a Four Roses LE.
What is happening on my tongue?
I like how it's going very barrel towards the end.
Oh,
Very char.
it starts out like a strawberry and chocolate milkshake.
I get a little bit of that strawberry. Definitely see the chocolate towards the end, towards the finish, yeah.
There's a caramel drizzle on the middle of my palate too.
This is a weird milkshake.
But yeah, I absolutely get the barrel towards the end. Mm-hmm. I think the finish is a little bit light.
Really?
I'm
feeling like it's got a pretty hefty finish. But you know, to each his own.
so the just doesn't seem like it's not that it's stopping, it's just like it's not presenting anything else. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, I guess it is pretty consistent across the board.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it goes more towards like a cocoa or chocolate or more barrel finish. I feel like this is just going barrel, but I'm not mad about it at all.
I'm not either. But I just think if we're talking about, you know, is there anything to kind of differentiate the palate from the finish?
It does stay consistent. It
Yeah.
does stay pretty consistent. But both, if this was just the palate, and it went somewhere else, I would say it's a really great palate. If this was just a finish and the palate was somewhere else, I would say this is a really great finish. Mm-hmm. So I guess I can't be mad at it for not transforming so much.
I can't be either. But I always kind of expect the finish to maintain some of those flavors while still becoming its own thing.
Well, just have it be known that this is our last drink of the thing,
true.
and we have been drinking for a while.
That's true. We have been.
That is true.
Might be good to revisit this as a first thing.
I have to say, it is not my favorite.
Really?
Yeah. I like the 130th better. This reminds me of a boozy Twizzler, and I'm not a fan.
Huh.
So you're getting licorice in this?
Yeah, but in the way that, like, Twizzlers isn't like straight licorice. It's like whatever cherry flavored licorice.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, that aside, it has a really nice texture. I think it has a really good finish. It's a little hot. I think it comes on a little strong at the finish. I think with a couple of drops of water, I would actually be happier with it, and I might try that in a second. But again, I think that is 100% my personal baggage against Twizzlers.
Sure.
So this is a case when I would say, please don't listen to me on this one. Like, I can tell when I'm biased, and I'm definitely biased here. I think that this could stand for me to open up some more, like to sit in this glass for a little bit with maybe a couple of drops of water, and I would like to revisit it in the future.
Sure.
But at this moment, I'm not feeling it. And that breaks my heart. But I loved, like you said, every year so far, I've loved it. It really hurts me to say anything negative about something that Brent Elliott created. But again, I'm not saying definitely, that this is not good. It's not good. It's just not for me at this moment.
To me, it's reminiscent of the Al Young, that 21. The Al Young had 23.
Oh,
in
it definitely has the sweeter notes that Al Young did.
And like the tobacco and leather that you're getting from the older in there is present, but it's not like a straight up 21 or 23 year that's just a saddle, that's just oak and saddle. It's not Clint Eastwood's face, it has the good parts of it, but then it also gives you the typical Four Roses fruit and fruitiness and sweetness and the high rye punch.
It's interesting that you say high rye because there's only one recipe in here that's
the 35%
high rye. Yeah,
I mean
that being said, though, 20% is still fairly high rye, but at 35%,
20% in Buffalo Trace Land would be very high rye.
I would like to know the percentages that went into this. I'm not sure that I'll ever find out what those percentages are, but I would be curious to know how much of the 21-year-old high rye had an effect on the overall product.
I feel like you have to use the 21-year sparingly.
Yeah.
So cost analysis would indicate that it's probably the least. If we're going by that, it probably has the most of the 11-year. Maybe not.
If it was like 50+% the 21-year-old.
Oh my God.
There wouldn't be very many bottles of it.
Or if it was 90% the 11-year, and then the other 10% was the other three. But
sounds a little young to me.
I don't think so. I mean, when is 11-year young?
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
A couple of drops of water really opens up some of the darker notes on it as well.
So that I added a couple drops, like 3 maybe.
Yeah.
I was having
added about
struggles to
4
get
or
them in
5.
there. And even what it's done in a short amount of time for me is like opening it up and improving it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I would like to try this at another time when like I can let it sit in the glass with, a few drops of water for a little bit longer of a time. Because I actually think that for me, that is on the right track to get it to where I would need it to be.
I want to say something too. I don't feel like my palate's been killed even with the two that we've had before.
3.
That being said, though, I mean, I would still like to try this, as a first or second drink.
Now we did have, I mean, when you count the Pikesville, we had 2 ryes before this.
True.
And I'm picking up kind of a minty note, but I don't know if it's from the rye that we've had or if it's from this. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. But I just added a few drops of water too, and I'm gonna see what's what.
I really liked it without water. I like it more with water.
I agree with you. I like it more with water.
Yeah, but maybe not for the same reason that you do, Sarah.
Sure.
Because, I mean, you were kind of on the fence about it without water, but I think with it, it really starts to lean into the dark notes.
I get more sugary sweetness with water.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm picking up a lot more of the kind of barky, tannic notes.
I'm getting more like just like cornbread and sweet savory now.
Cornbread.
Yeah. But I'm also not completely trusting my palate right now. My tongue, we also have had some high proofs. This itself is a high proof. I'm feeling a little
Fatigued?
fatigued, yeah.
Yeah.
Not completely. But I feel a little put through the paces. A little bit. But, I mean, I still trust myself.
Yeah, I would hope so. I was going to say, I mean, like, I still feel confident in my ability to rate this.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing, right? We're doing
we're gonna
never pull fleshy piercings.
Do you want to actually go through all 5 or 4 on these?
I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to sit this one out. I don't feel comfortable rating this at this point. Like, not because I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to say anything bad about it, so I'm just not going to say anything. I really do feel like I need more time with this to give it an accurate rating for myself.
So it's like you have a cramp and you want to stay on the bench. You don't want to be out there on the court.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Like, where I'm at right now, I know I like it with a few drops of water. I feel like I need to explore that more. I think it has a great mouthfeel. I think it has a great finish.
Exceptional.
Exceptional mouthfeel.
I know that it is limited and I know that it's pricey. So, like, these are all things that would play into it. But that initial flavor for me was like a ding. And I don't think that will be the case once I get to explore it to where I want it to. So
Gotcha.
I kind of want to take some time with it.
So we'll do something we've never done before then. We'll put a pin in it.
It took 99 episodes.
It did. We'll put a pin in it and we'll come back to it. Maybe, we'll do a bonus episode where we actually, give the review of it, or maybe it'll be on your live stream or whatever, where we actually, break it down. Mm-hmm. I'm comfortable with waiting on this, but if I had to give overall first opinions, I would say it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not even pretty good.
I just feel like I was going to give the nose alone a 4.5.
Yeah.
I think the nose is
was
exceptional.
out of this world.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy the nose.
The rest, I don't know. In value would probably also be the lowest. But it's like, I don't know. You have to pay for exceptional whiskey, right? So
you do.
Who's to say? Was this about 130 again?
Well, I thought it was closer to 100.
I thought it was normally like around $120, $130.
Didn't you get a bottle?
Yeah, but it was with 2 other bottles.
So you can't remember how it broke up.
I just paid the bulk.
I thought it was like 120 also.
120?
Yeah. It may be up to 130 nowadays.
Yeah.
This website says that it's $2,000.
I don't think that's right.
That's insane.
Oh, that's the 130th.
What? Hey, Chad, there's a... Oh, no, it's gone.
I think I have a signed 130th that's unopened.
Oh, my.
No, Chad.
But
no.
I love it. I love it. I would never do that.
140.
Oh,
It's
gone up.
$140.
I feel like last year's was 130.
I was 120 when we stood in line that first year together.
Yeah. So I think it's gone up like $10 every year, maybe. Or just about.
Just about, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, price would be the place I would ding it the most. But also, like you said, I mean, in an age of limited releases that are all $100 plus, can you really fault it for being right there with all the other, premium limited releases? Like, no, you really can't.
Especially when just this episode we were talking about Parker's Heritage at 150. We mentioned the Wild Turkey Masters Keep Cornerstone at 175.
Right.
This one at 140 is actually the lowest.
Yeah.
No, I'm second guessing everything.
Oh, man.
Don't do that.
We're not going to do episode 100. It ends at it. No, I'm just kidding.
I quit.
It's over.
Just couldn't do it. No, I am starting to agree with you, Sarah. I do want a little bit more time.
I just
With
need more
this.
time with it. It is. I
think
can
it deserves
tell that there is not that there wasn't a lot going on with the Parker's Heritage, but for me, it was just easier to read. And again, Chad, I don't know if that's because we've had multiple pours or what the deal is. I can tell that there's a lot going on here, and I know that there are things in there that I like, and I can identify those things, and I can definitely identify the things that I don't like. However, I could see with the water where it's got a lot more potential.
Yeah.
And instead of just giving you a flat, oh, I think it deserves a 15 or a 14.5 right now, I think that I would actually like to provide a more helpful answer.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
No, I agree.
Instead of just
I
like
totally
throwing
agree.
up some number to you because I think that I have to right now, like I'm just going to take the time that I need. So you can be patient. And that was
There's
a
a follow-up
collective
that'll
you.
happen after this.
I mean, it's definitely good.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But as far as like final stamp of approval, not quite ready to give it just yet.
All right.
Kind of ended with a dud there, but
Nah.
No,
I
see, that's what I'm afraid of is that people will think, oh, well, they think it's bad because they won't give a score.
No. I think that this is a good indication of how whiskey tasting should go. Is that
I agree.
Don't expect that you're gonna love everything right off the bat or hate everything right off the bat. It invites you to take time with it. It
Yeah.
invites you to savor it and really understand what it is that you enjoy about it or dislike. And so this is just kind of us putting that into action.
Yep.
And so we'll reconvene at some point
Sure.
here soon.
I think
as my voice
revisiting things
cracks.
is one of the most important parts of doing something like this, of
Yeah,
just
I
like
agree.
tasting and reviewing is like, you've got to go back to things, even if it's like, ugh, I hated that. Go back to it again. Maybe you might not. I mean, if Chad had never revisited Wild Turkey that he didn't, 101 that he did not
you
like
go.
initially, we would never have found a favorite staple for our house. Like,
Absolutely.
I think that it's important. So,
Yeah, for sure. So come back another time for us to let you know what we're
thank you. Come again.
really want to. Yeah, thanks. But we ain't done yet.
Oh.
It's the segment that Chad always forgets about, tips and bits.
I remembered this time.
Oh, I've got
did
one.
You? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay. Y'all go ahead then.
My tips and bits is going to be a podcast that you can find on Spotify. I was talking to Chad about this yesterday. It's called Hidden Brain.
Okay.
Someone at work was telling me about it, and they have a lot of, it's, I guess an anthology of podcasts where every episode is just like a completely different topic, but it's all about like psychology and ethics and posing issues like, why do we do this when we also do that? It doesn't make sense. So, for example, there's one about animals and how we treat them, and like, why do we love some animals? Why do we hate some animals? And why do we eat some animals? And like, how come it's acceptable to feed a mouse to your boa constrictor, but it's not acceptable to feed a mouse to your cat, who also eats mice? But you would never feed a mouse to your cat, and why is that? And it just kind of explores the ethics of like, why do we have no problem stomping on a spider, but you would not stomp on a butterfly or a mouse, for another example, like, or maybe you would, I don't know, but like, there's just like,
Hey, don't stomp on butterflies.
it poses questions. There's another episode that explores like how people how when you identify with things that are same to you, your perception is definitely changed.
Yeah.
When you can relate to someone in some way, either they're a part of your group, whether it's gender or race, religion, community,
Sports team,
politics. Like, a lot of people are saying like
bias.
you associate politics almost as your sports team, and that's why people have gotten
Yeah.
to the point where they're so like basically it's like fandom for their side because it's part of that. It's become part of their identity. And so to separate themselves for it is to lose a part of their identity, and they can't do it. Anyways, there's just like a lot of really cool things that make you think like that on there.
Right.
They explore the opioid crisis in one, and like, you know, how do we respond to safety measures knowing that they're there and can save us? Do we take more risks because we know that they're there?
Right.
And is that a good or a bad reason to have them? So anyways,
Yeah.
there's a lot of really cool topics. It's called Hidden Brain.
Hidden Brain. Okay.
Yeah, I think you can find it on iTunes. It's also on Spotify. They've got a lot of episodes. They're about 35 to 45 minutes each. I really enjoyed it. I've binged like 8 of them so far.
Nice.
Just because I'm super interested in all the things that they explore.
Nice.
So that's my tips and bits.
Well, mine isn't as deep as yours.
But it never is.
It never is. Since you did a podcast, I'm going to do a podcast, and not that this is hidden to anyone. Speaking of hidden brains, but I've been listening to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. That's a great
Oh, I
podcast.
love it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
It's really good.
it's really good. It's really good.
I've not heard it yet.
I mean, he you can tell he gets a lot of his guests that he is actually friends with. So it's interesting to hear how, you know, they go out to dinner with each other and their wives or husbands, depending on the guest. And like, I had no idea that he and Lisa Kudrow were friends since before Friends days.
Really?
And that she was the one who gave him the advice when he was like, I don't know if I should take this talk show gig or not. And she was like, no, I've seen it. I know that this is what you're meant. This is what you're meant to do. You need to do this. And he took the Conan gig basically because of Lisa Kudrow, you know? And it's just things like that you find out. It's really good.
Tell me that you can't hear Phoebe saying that. Not
No, I can
Lisa
see
Oh,
Kudrow,
and that's
but
who I
like
pictured
Phoebe.
when you said Lisa
Phoebe.
Kudrow
Yeah.
saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Phoebe
It's
saw
Phoebe.
it. Let's be real.
It's Phoebe. Totally.
But that's probably why she was perfect for the part of
Oh,
Phoebe.
absolutely. That's probably very much like herself. But my actual tip and or bit is Disenchanted on Netflix.
I've not watched it
Season
yet.
2 is now out. It's
Really?
It's from the makers of The Simpsons and Futurama. It's very much
Matt Groening.
Futurama, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really- I watched-
in a like fantasy land.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, is this a Futurama spinoff? He was like, basically. I mean, in a fantasy world instead of in space. But if I guess I'm going to give, you got two. For going back to me and my deep things, season 2 of Mindhunter is on Netflix.
Okay.
Also back again into the scary, deep psychological stuff. But
Sure.
it's a show about like when they were first discovering or like analyzing what makes a serial killer, what defines that person, how do we catch them, what's their, you know,
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
what's
now.
their
Yeah,
MO,
yeah, yeah.
why do they do the things that they do, where does this stem from, like how can we identify them from a lineup of, as far as like if we can basically tell you from what they did, what their background. They came from a broken home and they probably had something like this happen to them. And so they've probably committed a crime like this in the past. And so like, how can we pinpoint them?
Yeah.
But it's drama. It's really good.
Okay.
Season 2.
Mindhunter.
So, light and fluffy, dark.
Dark and dreary, dark and dreary.
Dark. Okay.
This explains me in chat. He's like, let's watch a comedy. I'm like, I want to watch a show about murder.
And I'm like, but cartoons.
Chad's like, are you watching a murder show again? I'm like, yeah.
Kind of.
Like, I'm scared for
I'm
myself.
taking notes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Scared.
Well, have you guys seen Carnival Row yet?
No.
Oh.
That's with Orlando
Oh,
Bloom
it's
and
good. And-
Cara Delevingne,
yes.
right?
Oh, right.
It is
Right.
good stuff.
What's that on?
Amazon?
Amazon. Okay.
Yeah.
Heard about
We're about halfway through the season, and I didn't know what the show was about until I watched it for the first time.
Yeah, I can't really tell.
Oh, good.
And I really thought that it was just kind of this like Gangs of New York style
Yeah.
show. Like it has kind of that
From what it
vibe.
looks
It's
like.
really grungy,
Like gritty,
yeah.
dirty.
but surprisingly enough, there's a fantasy aspect to it as well.
Interesting.
And I think that it doesn't feel like anything's like shoehorned in. It all feels very organic. And I've really been enjoying it. Orlando Bloom is an underrated actor. Honestly.
See, now I have to watch it because I'm like, I've always been like Orlando Bloom with the facial expressions.
I mean, he is okay. His facial expressions are a little over the top, but as far as his acting goes, I think it's superb.
Cool. I mean, his facial expressions being kind of bleh, made him perfect for Legolas. So
Legolas.
That's true.
Yeah. What you see with your elven eyes.
it was all in his voice and his like tiny smiles that you would communicate everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought it was perfect then. Like Pirates of the Caribbean, I was like, okay, come on, let's perk up.
Do something.
Come on, get excited.
Come on.
But anyways,
Come on.
no, that's a good. I saw that preview and I was like, I don't know if
Cara
that's for me.
Delevingne, though.
So with the Perry recommendation, oh, you love her eyebrows, huh?
Yeah. And her eyebrows and her eyes.
Just her face.
Her face is pretty nice.
Her face is nice.
Her face is nice. She
Yeah.
has a nice face.
You just liked her because she was the witch in Suicide Squad.
No, that
No,
movie.
that movie sucked.
I just wanted to see
garbage.
Chad's face when I accused him of loving that.
That was the biggest piece of it. It was bad.
It was not good.
It was not good.
It was not good.
But Margot Robbie, though.
Margot Robbie, though. I have high hopes.
Perry seems unimpressed.
I have high hopes.
I like Margot Robbie.
for the new one, for the
I thought the trailer
emancipation
looked
of
good. Birds of Prey.
Birds
Birds
of
of
Prey.
Prey,
The
yeah.
what's it called?
And the
No one-
fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
No one really knows.
I do. I just said it.
Yeah. But no one really knows.
You know what I do want to recommend, even though I haven't tried it yet, but I've seen trailers for it, is
Meth?
Untitled Goose
okay.
Game. What'd you say?
Meth? It's like,
No,
I was trying to see
Chad.
trailers for Meth.
But-
No, Untitled Goose Game.
What's that?
oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what
I
that
heard
is.
about this.
It is this just goofy little independent video game where you control a duck and you're basically just causing minor inconveniences.
This
around
sounds
town.
amazing.
Like like there's a guy who's bending over to pick up his newspaper and you like boop him in the butt and his glasses fall off and you run around and pick up his glasses and you run off with it and then he's trying to find his glasses. I mean, it's just
What
it's
is
just
this
little
on?
You can get it on your computer. It's $15.
What's it called again?
Untitled Goose Game.
Untitled Goose Game.
I hear they're gonna make it into a movie.
Like, this honestly sounds like my perfect video game. Like, how can I just irritate people?
It looks so pure and so just. I would get so much joy from it, and it's so funny because within about 15 seconds of watching the trailer, there's not a whole lot that happens, but then you kind of get this feeling that, oh, he's gonna mess with this dude, and like he's locking people like in gardens and like.
Well, I know what I'm doing when we leave
he's
here.
He's just a little dick. Like, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
Like, he's just being
Which
a douche
is why
to
it's
everybody.
perfect for me.
There you go. Yeah. No, I've heard about this.
No.
You can put a guy's rake in the middle of a lake or something. Yeah. It's just,
Perry, I have to say, I think this was the best tips and bits that we as a group have ever had.
I think
Yes.
so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
It had its highs and its lows. but
I brought the lows, so.
well, I'll
you
bring
brought
it back up.
the serious and depressing.
Well, some of us need that.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening to episode 99 of This Is My Bourbon podcast. Chad and Sarah, y'all have been here since the beginning.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
Ground
for
floor.
all of this. I mean, it has really been
We're so proud.
a pleasure. Thank you, but it's really been a pleasure for me to have you guys along for the ride. And I mean, not that this is over by any means, but like
We just getting started.
you know, we got a lot more planned for the next 100 and the next 2 years. But it sounded like I was about to cry, and I wasn't. But I told myself I wasn't gonna cry. No, I really do appreciate all the support and everything that you guys have given over the past couple of years, and it's been fun. And
It's been fun to be a part of
yeah,
Yeah.
and
absolutely.
watch and listen.
And listen.
thank you.
Yeah. And I feel like we've got a good, I don't know, what's that word called?
Back and forth?
Simpatico?
Synergy.
Synergy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
talk bad about synergy.
Rapport.
Women.
No, we've got that. Yep. Like
Yeah.
what you shared with us tonight, we haven't tasted yet. And hopefully
Yeah.
the next time you come over, we'll have things for you. And it's
what it's
great.
all about.
Sharing is caring is what I heard. So
Indeed.
I heard it once or twice as well. if people want to find you guys, and I'm sure that they already know where to do that, but if they don't, where can they?
It's pretty much all. It's Bourbonite. Instagram and Twitter. Instagram is the real place to follow. It's at It's Bourbonite. WhiskeyAmbitions.com is our merch store where you can. We should now have the Bourbon America's Only Native Spirit shirt. The sizes back in there.
Back in stock.
Back in there.
There's Facebook, obviously.
There's Facebook. There's Patreon.
Yep. Patreon.com/
It's Bourbon.
It's Bourbon. Sorry. Thought we were going to do it in stereo. The people like it when that happens. Fine. And that's it. Well, YouTube is the big place. YouTube.com/ Bourbonite. Yeah.
I have nothing to add.
Okay. We do a little podcast, but it's only on Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Drink More Bourbon podcast.
The Drink More Bourbon podcast.
Which you
Maybe
said
we
that.
should just call this the Drink More. Oh, sorry. Never mind.
What?
What?
Nothing. No.
Oh, she has pulled back from it. Okay.
It's an idea, but it's off topic, so I'm just going to reserve that for later.
Fair enough.
For next time. Thank you all so much for listening now through 99 episodes of this show. If you want to
stay tuned next week for the good stuff.
Yeah, stop. Do you guys want to sit in for that too?
No.
I mean, I don't have enough microphones.
There will be too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. We'll just be in the corner yelling at the mic.
Everyone will just be sitting quietly while Chad does impressions and songs.
I mean, after a few bourbons, probably.
Where do you get a guitar from? Is that a djembe?
He's playing the drums and the guitar at the same time.
I'm not even mad. I'm just impressed.
It's eating a whole wheel of cheese.
No, but if you want to follow up with us on social media, it is at My Bourbon Pod on all social media channels. If you would like to send us questions or comments, you can send them to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com as Chad almost breaks a glass.
Wow.
Please leave us a 5-star rate and review on iTunes. That really does help us find new listeners and get the show to new eyes as well. It is super easy if you are on the Apple Podcast app. All you have to do is just swipe down a little bit, and then you get to the review section, and then take it from there. It really does help us out. We really do appreciate it. You can find all of our apparel and merch at bourbonshop.threadless.com. We are going to be having a 100 episode anniversary sale going on here soon. So be on the lookout for that. If you're not yet a part of our Facebook group, it is This Is My Bourbon group. So just go to facebook.com, search for that. There's just a couple of questions to get you in there. These two are a part of it as well. It's a lot of fun. We get to hang out and talk about different bourbon topics and things that are going on with the show. And then last but not least, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a patron of the show. That really does help us out. I know that $1 a month doesn't really sound like very much, but we really do appreciate it. There is a lot of work and planning and all that goes into making this show happen. And, we don't want to stop after episode 100. We don't want to stop after 2 years. And the support from you guys is a big part of what keeps this show going. There is, of course, no pressure to support the show if you cannot do that. But any and everything that you can give to us does help a whole lot. I don't know how to end this one because I'm like...
Peace.
Later.
Just drop the mics.
I'm just I'm so excited for next week, and it's going to be big. It's going to be crazy and different. And
Triple digits.
There are surprises that are coming along the way, and you guys aren't going to want to miss it. So, cheers to episode 99. Cheers to Chad and Sarah. It's Bourbon Night is now married.
I got 99 problems, but bourbon ain't
Bourbon
one.
Night ain't one.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for hanging out for this episode.
Thank you,
for
Perry.
having us.
You're so welcome. Well, I will see you next week for episode 100. But until then, I'm Perry, and this is my Bourbon Podcast. So you don't have to do bourbon gymnastics.
I get to see the kitties and the puppies.
Yeah.
Most likely laying right outside that door.